We are live. Good morning, everybody. Vivian, good morning. Detrice, good morning. My man, Big Ches, good morning. Bringing all the vibes this morning with all the O's. I love it. Carla, good morning. I hope everybody had a tremendous morning. Oh, I forgot my hat. I think I left it in the other room. But yes, I had a great morning myself. Woke up. Got my prayer in, got my confessions in, right? My confessions, my manifestations, whatever you want to call them. Then I got my run in, right? Feeling good. Got my protein shake. Escaped making the protein shake with no injuries. So absolutely cannot complain at all as I head into what I anticipate and what I am demanding will be another amazing day. So I'm excited to get after it here today. I think I might have turned the contrast up on my webcam. But yeah, I hope everybody had a great night last night and they're having a great morning this morning. They're really ready to get into it. This week has seemed long. Like I looked down and I was like, there's no way it's only Wednesday. I feel like this week has been a long week, but it's also been a grinding week. I love to be transparent with you guys and kind of talk about how I'm doing. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Just to show you that, not every person waking up, you're a trader, you're a super person. But it's been a past few days where I've been getting a crap load of stuff done, which feels awesome. So I feel like, an underrated part of trading and really doing anything, any skill that requires you to be, kind of locked in mentally is gratitude, right? Just looking back and saying, man, like I've been able to get a lot of stuff done the past few days, right? If you have been doing things that normally you're anxious about and you've done it, right? For my people that are anxious about maybe getting up and getting a sweat in or just waking up one time, right? Sending an email that you might have dreaded, sending a message that you might have dreaded, right? Those are the things to be celebrated. Because to be honest, just because it's not hard for someone else doesn't mean it's not hard for you. I love to celebrate doing the things that are hard for me. So as we talk about, different things that relate to trading and different things are related to mindset, I think that's something it's super important. It's like celebrate the wins when you do stuff that's hard for you. I don't care if it's not hard for somebody else, right? It's something that I struggle with, so I'm going to celebrate me getting it done. Um, and I feel like you've got to be the same way, right? Your wins are your wins. So make sure that you're patting yourself on the back. You're like, man, I did a lot of great stuff this week. For me, trading is, I don't want to say easy, but it's easier. And then there are other things that are harder, right? Like sometimes I wake up in the morning, I don't want to run, right? Or I wake up and I want to skip my prayer, or I want to do something like that. And I feel like doing those things and recognize that you're doing those things and patting yourself on the back gets you in that mode in the morning. We're like, man, I want to keep doing the things that make me anxious so I can overcome them and feel like I can conquer everything. And it bleeds into what you already do easily and what you already do well. You start to do that with a conviction and a newfound confidence because you're filling in the cracks, right, where you don't do as well. Benjamin said once again on point with the morning inspiration. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, man. Listen, brother, we're all in this together. We're all trying to navigate life together, and I just think that's important. It seems like when we win, it's expected, and nobody celebrates it. And then when we lose, it's like we're the worst thing since COVID, right, or since the Black Plague. And it's just we gotta balance those scales because it's not right mentally, and that's how that exhaustion comes into play because you never have any time of celebration, right? It's only meeting expectations, which gets no emotional result. And then if you don't meet expectations, it's like the worst thing in the world. So yeah, gratitude this morning, super important. I feel like this camera between the blue background, the light coming in from there, and then the color changing bubbles is like having trouble adjusting with the contrast and the saturation. I feel like my man Deep's Tech webcam is working overtime. But we'll let him continue to do that while we work overtime in the market. As always, y'all, we're here for one reason and one reason only. So even if you already did, make sure you throw a one in the chat. I want to see you openly signifying, right? Not just out of routine, right? I don't just want to see, okay, good morning one or, GM one out of routine. I want you to genuinely think about what you're doing when you type that. You're committing to getting 1% better. It's got to be an active commitment, right? It can't be passive. It's like when you go to church and, your church might have had like some type of mantra or some confessions that everyone said. You've got to say it with your chest, right? Like your coach used to say it with your chest every time. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything, right? It does not mean anything. So say it with your chest, drop those ones in the chat. And even my people watching via replay, drop those ones in the chat, comment, and set your intention, because even via replay, you intend to take advantage of the valuable nuggets that we drop over the course of this live stream, right? So without further ado, let's dive into what we got going on today. Top news, new world failure. It was only a year ago that Beijing and Moscow touted a new world order, but things appear to be unraveling fast for their economies. Exports, manufacturing activity, and property prices are sliding in China, which has decided to stop reporting the country's rising youth unemployment rate, while a worsening debt crisis and deflationary spiral are threatening growth. A collapse in commodity-based export revenues and extensive military spending have also weighed on sanctioned Russia, which just saw the ruble fall past the psychologically important level of 100 to the dollar after tumbling 37% year to date. Yeah, so far the New World Order is not looking like it has much order to it. Central bank divergence. While the news has been grim, the countries are responding to their economic problems in different ways. On Tuesday, China slashed a range of key interest rates to shore up its economy, aiming to reignite growth and investment. It followed missed payments by Country Garden Holdings, one of China's largest developers of real estate. There were two in the chat if you've ever heard me mention over the course of the past year and a half, China's real estate market, which, I've affectionately referred to as a dumpster fire. Country Garden Holdings, one of China's largest developers of real estate, basically missed payments, and that's a sector that accounts for a quarter of overall economic activity, right? So with the Evergrande crisis in China, China basically has a ton of ghost skyscrapers, right? So these developers come in, they build all this real estate, they take out all these loans to do so because banks are just off their rocker to lend money to people that have money, or people that, want to develop, and they lent all this money to these developers. These develop these properties, and no one is staying there, right? There's a ton of high-end luxury apartments that got built that are empty. Tons of normal apartments that got built that are empty. China is literally blowing up empty buildings that they built from scratch and no one has lived in because no one is living in them, right? So I think it's just, important to keep that in the back of the mind the whole time when we're talking about China. They're not in a great spot. They're not in a great spot at all. They haven't been in one. I mean, right now they're literally cutting rates out of sheer desperation, trying to start some type of spark to get their economy going. But China is a huge global force, right? So that's important when you see China struggling like that. It's important when we talk about the global landscape. It's also important when we talk about, I guess, the emotions of these dictators, because that's what they are, right? We're talking about Putin, we're talking about Xi Jinping. These people are dictators, and when they're pressed against the wall, right, you corner a rabid animal, they're more likely to lash out. So these are things where China and Russia both hate being embarrassed. They both have a lot of pride between their countries. Not that America doesn't. America hates being embarrassed, and it, has a lot of pride as well. But it's just with these countries back into a corner, it makes them more dangerous when we talk about long-term and the tensions that we already have right now with China. So let's see here. On the other hand, Russia's central bank hiked rates by 3.5 percentage points at an emergency gathering, bringing its key rate to a total of 12%, fearing inflationary pressures that could ripple through its economy. As many Western companies have already pulled out of Russia or are attempting to do so, investors are keeping a closer eye on the impacts of multinationals operating in China. Recent earnings calls from industrial players have flagged increasing headwinds, such as warnings from Caterpillar, Danaher, Dow Inc., DuPont, Leondell Basel, and Parker Hannifin. So let's see. While there is always a chance of a positive breakthrough in U.S.-Chinese relations that will lift Chinese stocks, markets reflect the current economic and geopolitical landscapes, noted Seeking Alpha Investing Group leader Andrew Hecht. Now, what to watch? The gloomier outlook means China might miss its annual GDP target of 5% this year as it looks to sort out its economic problems. The first thing that needs to be addressed is the concern of growing financial contagion in debt problems that span from local authorities to the central government. Declining domestic demand means shortfalls in tax revenue, while weakness in finances could harm Beijing's fiscal policy toolkit to help support the economy. So things not looking good in China, right? That's pretty much the takeaway from that. That is something that we have been well aware of. That is why we are bearish on Chinese stocks. I've been touting that, yelling it from the rooftops since we started out the week. That has gone forth to pay us very nicely. If we look here again, let's check out BABA pre-market. BABA opening lower pre-market, right? BABA is in the midst of, daily double top breakout. It is bearish on the daily. It's been bearish on the hourly, bearish on short terms, but yesterday it officially got that, bearish breakout on the daily, and BABA looking to open lower. Our puts continuing to pay. So, that's where we're at with China. We've been short China. You can continue to be short China. We haven't even reached our first daily price target yet. Actually, let me see. Have we? Oh, we actually hit it overnight, and we're currently looking to open beneath it. But yeah, China still has opportunity to the downside, but we've been in it soaking up this red from China, and I'll continue to take advantage of any opportunities it wants to present. In terms of economic news, which we celebrate, right? Big wins, right? Throw a 3 in the chat for BABA, throw a 3 in the chat for successful trades, throw a 3 in the chat for execution, right? Throw a 3 in the chat for gratitude. Again, you don't ever want to get complacent with the wins. You're like, oh yeah, I won. Oh yeah, I did this. Oh yeah, I did that. No, like we've been on top of this roller coaster ride as it's shooting downward, right? In our account balance shooting upward, which is a great, a great thing and something to be celebrated for sure. Sharon said, are there issues with construction quality as well? Oh yeah, because this is Sharon's wheelhouse, y'all. So I'm sure there might be issues, or probably is issues with construction quality. That's not my area of expertise, so I wouldn't be able to go in depth. But if I had to guess, there is probably some issues with the construction quality too. So yeah, I'd go ahead and I'd wager to say that is probably part of the issue as well with that infrastructure that they have going on in China. But yeah, it's crazy to think that I was watching a video and then read the article, kind of going deeper into it. And it's just huge buildings, completely like ghost towns. If I was a homeless person, I'd find some way to get inside those buildings. I mean, I got a free apartment. Like I'd be figuring out my best way to Jimmy rig a little hiking set and scale up the side of those apartments and get me a nice little penthouse. Let's see here. In terms of economic news, with our next headline, in contrast, over in the U.S., July retail sales powered past estimates to rise 0.7% month over month as consumers continued to show resilience and bolster the economy. A strong performance from the automotive sector and health and personal care categories stood out, while Amazon's Amazon Prime Day provided a further boost. The retail sales data indicates a 3% GDP growth rate is possible for Q3, according to ING Economic and Financial Analysis, though there could be some challenges down the line. Economists will also look to the release of FOMC minutes today for clues about the central bank's future path on monetary policy. That's important to note, right? We do have FOMC minutes today. It's also important to note that Powell is not speaking. In these FOMC minutes are going to be released from the past meeting. So these, you can't basically equate. That's why it's important to be here for the pre-market prep sessions. Invest in yourself daily, try and get 1% better, because not every FOMC meeting is the same, right? Not every FOMC meeting is the same. So it's important to recognize that, okay, not every FOMC meeting is the same. So I don't need to treat everyone, I guess, with the same reverence, because Powell isn't speaking. And also this is going to be kind of commentary that happened in the past that isn't expected to be groundbreaking. So if there is something that happens that's unexpected, yes, it could still move markets significantly. But I don't see this as being an event that does anything crazy for markets. Knock on wood. Again, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm not treating this like the same way I would treat a Fed day where we have Powell speaking. And of course, I still maintain kind of my point or my assertion that Fed days and FOMC days are really just used as a smokescreen for big money to do what big money was already going to do. We are already bearish in terms of, where things are with the market. So I'd expect that to continue unless we get back above weekly uptrend support, which we lost 2 weeks ago and we confirmed beneath last week. Unless we get back above that, I remain bearish, right? Longer term. And if there is any move shorter term that indicates bullishness, we can hedge. That's the beautiful thing. It's not like you have to pick a side and say, oh man, well, I'm in put, so I guess I'm on the bears side, and there's no way, Thinkorswim won't even accept my money to get into a bullish call. It's not the case at all, right? If things do start to look bullish, just hedge. You don't have 100% of your portfolio in any position, right? That's part of the risk rules that we learned throughout the course. So you have the buying power that you need in order to execute if something turns around, right? That's what's important to recognize through all of this, is reminding yourself of your risk rules, reminding yourself that you have options regardless of what the market wants to do. So yes, you can be bearish, and then, what if the market turns around? We'll turn around with it, right? And as long as you're ready to execute and you're ready to go, you will make the money that you lost back faster than you realize you lost it. That's always kind of my strategy whenever things go against me. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make sure I always have something in the back pocket, something in the back of my mind to execute on, so that if things do flip bullish, I'm in the most bullish thing, right? And then and I can make my money back before I even realize that I've lost it. So in terms of kind of what we're looking at today, July retail sales were higher than expected. Consumers showing resilience, right? The automotive sector and, health and personal care stood out. But when we talk about kind of today with the FOMC minutes, just expect, I guess, more of a muted response than you would. You're kind of on high alert on normal FOMC days. I'm not really as on high alert today. In terms of consumer news, retail radar. On the earnings front, American big box retailer Home Depot ticked up 0.7% to $332 per share on Tuesday after earnings topped estimates. CEO Ted Decker also noted that while there was a sequential improvement in comparable sales, a lot of that was seasonal recovery for Q2. Home Depot additionally maintained its fiscal year outlook while costs improved as suppliers demanded fewer price hikes. Two other retail giants will report before the market today, including TJX and Target, whose ticker is TGT. What's funny is that I went and mentioned Home Depot on here, and if you followed the Home Depot post-earnings strategy, let me see here. Things worked out pretty well. So didn't end up trading it personally, but Home Depot came down, right, held that pre-market low as we tested again pre-market. And then I kind of would have let it do its thing, but once it broke above pre-market high, it was a great spot to slide in some Home Depot day trades. When I say day trades, I mean specifically calls to the upside with it breaking that pre-market high. But I'm completely fine with what we were focused on yesterday. That made us a great deal of money in and of itself. With BABA coming through, SPY coming through, all that great stuff. So SPY came through on a number of expirations for us. We were long-term puts on SPY, short-term puts on SPY, crushing it right now with the SPY game. So thankful for that as well. Nice run of wins. In terms of financials, Credit Watch, there still may be some worries on the horizon. Fitch analyst Chris Wolf has warned that dozens of U.S. banks' credit ratings, including some of the nation's biggest lenders, are at risk, though it's not a foregone conclusion. The cautious comment, which pushed financial stocks lower, comes a week after Moody's downgraded multiple small and mid-sized banks and placed 6 larger lenders on watch. Earlier this month, Fitch downgraded the U.S. long-term credit rating, partly blaming erosion of governance. In terms of today's markets, in Asia, Japan is down 1.4%, Hong Kong is down 1.4%, China is down 0.8%, India is up 0.2%. In London, we're down 0.4%, Paris, we're flat, Frankfurt, we're up 0.1%. In terms of the Dow here, up 0.02%. Is that even worth reporting? Dow up 0.02%, S&P up 0.01%, NASDAQ up 0.1%, crude flat, gold up 0.1%, Bitcoin down 0.7%, still holding around 29K, just hanging out, kicking it, right? Enjoying the weather. Today's economic calendar, yeah, it's really just FOMC minutes at 2, so that's kind of the biggest thing. In terms of how we treat FOMC minutes days, you guys know, typically we are, kind of anticipating chop in the morning, maybe something that could get people into positions and then, wait them through the FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. Again, I'm not expecting anything crazy from those minutes. Something crazy could come. I'm not expecting it. But, just recognize we could get chop if we do get, some type of solid look. you can still take advantage, but just know that every time you do have FOMC minutes, maybe the market can wait on that. Again, Powell's not speaking, so we'll see. We'll see what the market gives us, but just knowing that chop is a possibility as we head into it. But we're definitely heading into today bearish, given our close yesterday on SPY. We closed beneath the previous low on the hourly on SPY yesterday. So we broke that, fired an hourly bear flag that we have going on. So beneath 443.35 on the hourly, we remain bearish, right? Short term. We're already bearish long term, but we remain bearish short term beneath 443.35 on the hourly as well. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. And if we go on to lose yesterday's low that we set before close, we're likely headed lower than that. So we're opening today bearish. Those are our expectations. I want that to be well known and undisputed, that it's not just short term or long term, it's both that we're bearish on. So that's the kind of landscape that we're walking into when that opening bell goes ding, ding, ding. Now, what else is happening? We'll finish up here with our rapid fire bullet point rundown. Kashkari, Fed made good progress on inflation, but it's still too high. Kashkari is a member of the Fed. He's not just some random guy. Kava, ticker Kava, rallies after first earnings report, highlights growth story. Remember, I have absolutely no interest of newly IPO'd stocks. They always end up coming back down to a better price than IPO. So, no, I have no interest in Kava or any other stock that IPO'd. Tesla introduces cheaper versions of Model S and Model X. Eventually, you'll be able to get Tesla along with a Happy Meal at this rate. Occidental Petroleum, ticker Oxy, buys Carbon Engineering for $1.1 billion. More optimism. NVIDIA likely to see AI supercycle, says Baird. C Limited, ticker SE, plunges as Q2 sales miss estimates. Auto stocks on watch as major strike looks more likely. No China nod. Intel walks from Tower Semi deal. So again, we have another deal that ends up falling to the wayside under this much more strict regulatory-wise administration. Hawaiian Electric extends decline as S&P downgrades to junk. And then what to know about J&J and Kenvue's exchange offer. So that'll wrap us up, put a bow on it, right as I like to say, and take us out for this. I saw that yesterday, yep. For this session, right? So we had a beautiful session. We got in a lot of great information, right? Talking about trades that we're in, trades we've been a part of, looks that we've predicted that have come to pass, and ways that we are looking to continue to execute. So I love that, and I love the fact that it's literally just turned 9 a.m. We're already this hot going into things this Wednesday. So if you know somebody who could be putting their money to work for them and they aren't in markets, make sure you direct them to adamhollandeducates.com to enroll in Stock Options Made Easy. They can get it right now for the best price they'll ever be able to get it, which is for almost 30% off, right? Because I'm almost 30 and I want to do a sale equivalent to my birthday, which is coming up on the 24th, right? Big Virgo energy. But anyways, that's where we're at, guys. Let's have a great rest of the day. And I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for our next session. Peace.